Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture we will go ahead and learn how to modify the look and feel of this user registration page. So right now, as you can see, this is how the basic Django user registration page looks like. So what we need to do now is that we need to add some bootstrap styling to it so as to make it look much more better. So now let's go to the users app and search for the template, which is the register.html. Now, as you can see right now, this is the code which we have. And now let's go ahead and use Bootstrap into this particular template. So the very first thing which you need to do now is that in order to use Bootstrap, you need to extend from the base template. So here we'll use the syntax for extends. So we'll type in extends and we'll extend the template, which is food/base.html. So now once we have extended the template, we can now use the block body and the end block tag so as to indicate the starting of the code block. So here I'll type in block body and here I'll type in end block. And now, as usual, as we have done with the login template, we are actually going to go ahead and create a container, create a row inside the container, and then use this particular column-md-4 class over here with an offset so as to style this in a much more better way. So what you can do for now is that you can simply copy the same code which you have over here in the login.html. So you can copy this particular structure because you obviously don't want to type the entire thing once again. So you can just go ahead, copy that entire thing, go back over here in the register.html page, and in here just simply paste that bunch of code in here. And now what we need to do is that we first of all need to replace this thing with register. And now for the cart body, instead of having this form, we can go ahead and get rid of this entire form right here. So just go ahead and delete this entire form, and in here instead we go ahead and post this particular form. So I'll just go ahead, cut that, and I can paste this thing over here. However, if you have a look at the registration form, there is one thing which is missing in here. So right now, if you just go ahead and paste that code in here, let's see what kind of form or what kind of output do we get. So now if I save this code and if we hop back to the web browser and when I hit refresh, as you can see, this is the kind of output which we get. So we basically get the same form, but the same form is actually present inside this particular block, but we don't want this kind of form to be present up over here. Instead, we want a clean and nice looking form. So for that very purpose, what we will do here is that instead of just having this entire form over here, we can now go ahead and access each and every single one of those fields inside our form. So how exactly can we go ahead and do that? So for that, what we can do is that first of all, we need to get rid of this form. And now, in order to access each one of those fields inside the form, we can use a for loop. So we can type something like this, and you can type in for field in form. So by using this, you now get an access to each and every field inside the form. So field is nothing but it's just a random variable name which we have given to a single field inside the form. The form, however, is the main thing right here. So now once we have that, let's also go ahead and use the end for over here, and that's because we always do that. And now once we have this, we can now go ahead and actually access those fields in here. Now, in order to access the field, you can either access the field or you can also access the name of the field. So for example, the name of the field might be username, password, and everything like that. So in order to access those fields, we will first go ahead and create a new class over here. That is, we are going to create a new div over here. That's the Bootstrap class of form group. So I'll type in div, and the class is going to be form group. So this is going to make sure that whatever field we add in here in between this div actually gets styled as per Bootstrap. So now in here, we can finally go ahead and we first get the access, or we first display the name of the field. So we type field.name, and then what we will do is that we will give a break tag here. In order to have a line break, that means after the field name, at the downside of the field name, we actually want to display the input field. So I'll type in field here. So now once you go ahead and do that, let's see how our form actually changed. So when I go ahead and hit refresh, as you can see, now our form looks much more better as compared to the previous version. Now what you can do is that you can go ahead and you can also style up this button, because right now it's looking pretty dull and boring. So let's go ahead and assign a class to this particular button. So I can type in class equals, that's going to be, let's say, btn-info. And now if you go back, hit refresh, as you can see, now the button color changed, and you can also change this thing to register, or you can just keep it sign up. So now as you can see, everything works just fine, and our Bootstrap form is now completely ready, and it looks much more cleaner as compared to the previous one, where we have a lot of information over here which we don't actually need. So that's it for this lecture, and hopefully you guys were able to understand how to modify or make your registration form look much more better. And I know that this is not the best, but as we are learning Django and we are not yet into the front-end development, so we won't focus much on that. This is just to give you guys an idea of how you can actually style the form which you get through Django. So in the next lecture, we will go ahead and we'll try to style this particular page, which is the page which allows us to add food items. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.